uh, Sam and Heather and Justin have to present. Like I said, we have been privileged to work with them the last several years on products that they've developed that have utilized our dust product, but also developing some new technologies with them. So with that, Sam, I'll hand it off to you and your team. So thank you very much for coming.
Well, thank you. And just since we're doing introductions, I'm Sam Klute, the CEO here at Kannar Earth Science. And we're a company devoted to making continual positive changes on especially field crops. And our friendship and partnership with Lomutech is proving quite helpful in bringing innovative solutions to growers. You know, when you consider the genetic yield potential of seed, we want to get that achieved as oftentimes as possible. And Kannar's role is to help achieve that with a minimal environmental drag or cost. And I'm very honored to work with both Heather Lewis and Justin Kwiatkowski, who will be doing the most of the presentation work today. So excited to pass a microphone to Heather and then to Justin. Heather is our Seed Lab manager, wears a lot of hats in our company, putting her skills to work. Also is over our environmental health and safety, which we certainly hope to address in today's discussions also. Heather.
Thanks so much, Sam. Like Sam said, I am Heather. I'm the Seed Lab Manager at Kannar. I help with the developing and optimization of our products, as well as stability and compatibility studies, both with other things we offer and with any offerings that anyone else wants to collaborate with us on. With that, I'll hand the mic over to Justin.
Thanks, Heather. I'm Justin Kwiatkowski. I'm the Microbiology Lab Manager at Kannar. And we focus on primarily the discovery, development, and commercialization of beneficial microbes for use with field crops and in agriculture. I have an interest in evolutionary biology and fermentation, which has been a great guide for the discovery process.
Well, Justin and Heather, you are both so humble, not just talking about the great breakthroughs you're responsible for. Should also say, Justin, you're more recently our global patent portfolio lead and helping there. So thank you for that. And Heather is managing our registrations in the US and abroad now of technologies, and also collaborating with contract research organizations, universities in the US and abroad with the research work we're doing. So very excited to work with the team here, and we hope that this audience and the online audience will enjoy interacting with Kannar, reaching out to Kannar and Lomutech with questions, and also hopefully we can add value to seed companies and growers through our seed apply technologies. Michael, you want to give us a little overview of what we'll be talking about today, or would you like for Heather to bring up the presentation and go?
Yeah, so just a reminder, we have the chat function. You're welcome to raise your hand in chat, or we have an open discussion. So Heather's going to lead the discussion. We're going to talk about the seed applied treatments, specifically our slip shine dry powder lineup, which many of you are aware of. And Heather has led the key development on that. And then Justin will visit a little bit about the microbes that can be available to put in. So once again, just raise your hand in the chat, or take yourself off of mute, and we'll call on you in this roundtable discussion. Thank you. Heather, you're up.
Thanks so much. I'm just going to share my presentation real quick, and hopefully you will be able to see it momentarily. All right, perfect. So today we're talking about our Slipshine line of technologies. So on the slide here, you will have our contact information. We did go through a little bit about a couple of us. There are a couple of members of our innovations team that are not on the call today. We have an agricultural input specialist, Asan Habib. We've also got Lucas Jung, who is a lab technician, and we've got Paul Branch, who's an on-farm equipment specialist. You can contact us on any time. So here's our emails and our phone numbers. And for any of you guys that want to sign up for any more of those spam emails, this one is Sam's right here at the bottom. So if any of you want to add to all those spam emails, that one right there is going to be your main one that you're going to want to use right there.
Remember, it's Kannar. Don't put an E in there. There's no E. So just
Yes, very true. All right, so first things first, slip shine solves problems. So there's really honestly so much liquid that you can apply to a seed. When you use fluency aids, what that does, it allows you to add more constituents to the seed itself. So it can be a suitable carrier for various micronutrients, microbes, any other additives that you want to add to your seed that there's just not enough room for when you're trying to use liquid. It also helps with bridging issues. I'm sure all of us have had those issues before we see the seeds just clumping together. Fluency aids will help with that. The actual appearance of the seed itself as well. So you can help it to shine. You can help it to look better. It also greatly improves singulation of the seed itself, as well as improved plantability. So less skips, less doubles. So you're going to be planting it the way that you expect to need to plant it. Slipshine itself also helps to improve the seed. So it is a dry seed finisher technology, and you typically will apply it when you're actually treating the seed itself. So when the seed is still tacky, it's not quite super wet, but it's not super dry yet. You apply it when it's still tacky in the treater itself, and it's designed to deliver superior slip, shine, and sheen to your seed itself. Right here, you'll see some peanut seed that has been treated with one of our slip shine technologies that we'll go into in our later slides here. But you can see that it's got that shine, it's got that sheen to it.
Heather, I just want to, for many of our seed companies, I'm sure, when do you know that you need a dry seed finisher like slip shine? I mean, that could be when your hopper box just bridges and you need to go hammer that again and again to get the seed to flow. Or if the elevator cups build up and you've got those chunks of chemical that dry, thin layer over thin layer over thin layer, eventually creating a thick layer of this chemical, dry chemical. And for us, the seed companies, one of the worst nightmares may just be when a chunk of those dried chemical drop into the seed bag. The grower goes and opens a seed bag with great anticipation of a great year ahead, only to find a clump of chemical on top of his seed. And now he's got a few worries. The one is that not all the chemical is on the seed where it needs to be. And number two, did he just buy seed only to plug up his planter with chemical clunks and chunks? So the slipshine was born out of a need to just overcome those type of nightmare problems. And we found that with correct application of slipshine, and we'll talk more about that later, what is correct, it greatly reduces, or in some cases even eliminates, the buildup on the lift cups and allows for the seed to no longer bridge in the various staging hoppers. So you get faster bagging, faster handling, commercial handling of your treated seed also. So it improves seed, but also seed handling, I would say. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks so much, Sam. We are very proud that it is a global first. So most of the slipshine technologies enjoy a global patent protection with an included microplastic-free fluency aid. So microplastics might be something that everyone's been hearing a lot about most recently. There are a lot of places that are actually banning microplastics, especially over in Europe. I've seen a couple of articles in Canada recently where they're really starting to be looking at all those microplastics and the effect that they're having on the environment. So we're very proud that this is a microplastic-free fluency aid. Most common benefits that you'll find from the slipshine line of technologies is that it's going to look like jewels. It'll flow like water. So just like Sam was talking about, it'll be able to flow very easily, faster drying, handling, and bagging. And it greatly reduces migrant dust formation during handling and transfers. So, you're trying to shake the bag, make sure that you can actually seal it up. You won't kind of get that plume all of a sudden in the air, dusting off of all the stuff you just tried to treat your seed with. Now, prior to actually launching any of our new slip shines, we do like to do a pretty extensive amount of experimentation with it just to make sure it's going to act the way that we expect it to act, and it's going to solve the problems that we're actually trying to address. So we do always want to make sure that we treat seed with it. We check that germ safety, emergence, and early vigor for the seed itself. We test for singulation and plantability. We test for that dusting off, as well as compatibility with commonly applied microbes. So if you want to apply microbes to your seed itself, we want to make sure that any other things that we're trying to add along with it are going to actually be safe for those microbes, not going to have a negative effect on them. And we also want to make sure we test the flowability of the seed itself. What you can actually see right now is a drawing of our flow funnels that we actually use to test our seeds. So what we can do is we treat more than one entry at a time, and we can do a comparative study. So any of the new slip shines that we're trying to launch, we can compare them to seed that doesn't have any fluency aids, other versions of our slip shine, other fluency aids, anything like that, just to make sure that we're actually improving the flow of the seed itself. There are 4 types of slip shine that we're actually going to be looking at today. And this right here is a summary of those key benefits. And we're actually going to be going into these benefits in our later slides here. The first one we're going to be talking about is our Slip Shine 100. And that one is designed so that you'll get superior shine for your seed itself. It is under regulatory 40 CFR 180.920. So it is inert suitable for food use pesticide formulation. It can be used in agriculture. And the typical application rate on seed is between 0.5 and 2 dry ounces per 100 pounds of seed. Now, a lot of the seeds that we're going to show here, the application rates, you'll see a range there. And that's just going to be the typical ones that most of our collaborators will use. There are some that have used slightly less, slightly more, but it does vary just a little bit. It can depend on the surface area of the seed yourself. It can depend on the actual chemistries that you're adding to your seed, you know, more active ingredients, more polymer. Sometimes you'll need more of the dry seed finisher or less of the dry seed finisher, depending upon how much that you're adding. But these right here are the typical ranges that people will find the most success with. And we're always happy to test any of the blends that you guys have in order to make sure we have the optimal rate for what you need for your seed here. The next one that we're doing is the Slip Shine 6300. And this one has that superior slip, shine, and sheen, and it also helps with the singulation at planting. It is also under that regulatory 40 CFR 180.920, so it is useful in agriculture. I do have application rates listed here for wheat, soy, and corn, which are 3 of the big ones that I treat the Slip Shine 6300 with, but I have used it on a wide variety of seeds. These ones here are available. Yes.
Heather, if I can just say, while we've got wheat, soy, and corn listed here, Slip Shine 6300, given its regulatory status, can be applied on all seed. Sunflower, food and non-food. Sunflower, sorghum, we've seen good results on sorghum. So not limited to wheat, soy, and corn. Yep.
Yes, thank you so much. I've applied it, to a whole wide range of seeds themselves, and I haven't found any yet that weren't benefited from our Slip Shine 6300. The 6300 is available as a 25-pound bag in a box, and you can get those in pallet quantities. So that would be 10 boxes on a pallet. You can also get them in bulk bags. Now, this one does contain that technology with worldwide patent protection. So it's globally licensed exclusively to Kannar from our friends at Lomu Tech. The next thing we're going to go into is going to be micronutrients. So micronutrients can be essential as a seed treatment. So they improve the stand establishments, advance phenological events, and increase yield and micronutrient grain content. So phenological events will be any cyclical biological events, things like that, blooming, flowering, things like that, fruits. Without these nutrients, plant nutrition would be compromised. So that can lead to potential declines in plant productivity. Micronutrients are used by the microbes themselves as well, and they're stimulating for the microbes. They are used by the plant as well as the microbiome to improve the plant processes and microbe activity. And you really have to think to yourself, can you really get enough of the micronutrients on the seed for the entire lifetime of the plant? Just like we were saying earlier, there's really only so much liquid you can apply to the seed. So definitely not if you're just relying on liquid. And you really can't, even when you're trying to use fluency aids themselves, but you can try to help enhance what you have. So we do offer our Slip Shine Molly. So a problem that people will experience is that soil pH, organic matter, clay content, drainage, and nutrient interactions seem to be the main factors affecting the availability of nutrients like molybdenum to the plants. The lack of the molybdenum reduces soybean nodulation, and molybdenum itself is also believed to negatively affect bradyrhizobium. But we have a couple possible solutions. Absolute placement of molybdenum on the seed. The molybdenum benefits the nitrogen-fixing bacteria in the soybean nodules. And molybdenum itself is a key enzyme to both plants and microbes. So basically, nitrate reductases are molybdenzymes that reduce nitrate and nitrite. And that reaction is critical for the production of protein in most crops. So the nitrate essentially is a predominant source of nitrogen in fertilized soils. Plants only typically need about 0.1 to 0.2 parts per million of molybdenum to perform normally, but they can tolerate up to about 30 parts per million. Now, we do always suggest that you do a little bit of risk management here. So consider your unique slurry offerings that you have. And as with most active ingredients, molybdenum is believed to greatly reduce inoculant life on seed. So we do always suggest that you independently verify the life of seed of any applied inoculant CFUs. Our Slip Shine Molly 1600, you'll get that nutritional molybdenum. You also do get that superior slip, shine, and sheen, and you get that singulation at planting. So this is something, because it does have that micronutrient in it, that requires state-to-state registrations. And you can actually find our state-to-state registrations for this product directly on our website. I put the link there for you. And there's also a QR code that you can scan if you just want to see the map of all the states where our Slip Shine Molly is currently registered. It's applied to soy at 1.6 dry ounces per 100 pounds of seed. And it is available as a 25-pound bag in a box in pallet quantities. So you would get 10 boxes on a pallet for 250 pounds. And it is another one of our entries that contain technologies enjoying that worldwide patent protection, globally licensed to Kannar from our friends at Momotech.
So,
now, yes.
Yeah, so on this one, that rate of 1.6 dry ounces per hundredweight, Sam, can you speak to that rate and with regards to, we have molybdenum to get the right rate, we need to stick with that, and how that was arrived to?
Yeah, thank you. No, going back to the ppm of molybdenum, which allow the plants to have to overcome the soil pH challenges and to facilitate nodulation with the application of an inoculant. That rate of 1.6 dry ounces includes molly in such a way that we hit those ppm targets. As you saw, there's a wide range of ppm needs from 0.1 to 30 ppm, so 300 times more. And so there is some degree of application latitude, but the 1.6 is designed to also introduce and communicate to the grower the value of the seed enhanced with molybdenum. So you have, as you can see on the picture here, a beautiful shine and sheen to the seed. And at the same time, you have molly applied on the seed. And the rate of 1.6 was designed with an initial collaborative relationship who found that they could apply inoculant in combination with Kannar Slip Shine Molly 1600 and not have a deleterious effect with nodulation in the field. Now, no inoculant company is going to say, go ahead, apply molly with an inoculant. In fact, it's commonly believed, it's known that molly attacks bradyrhizobium. And that is very true. Especially a moly in a liquid form will just obliterate the gram-negative applied to the seed, the inoculants. But at the rate of 1.6, and given that we have dry, very specific particle size distributions of moly on the seed, buffered with the rest of the slip shine layers of technology, we see adequate protection to the gram-negatives, to the inoculants applied, to the point where in many cases they can be safely applied together on the seed for the sake of convenience and efficiency of the grower. Now, we're a little bit in dangerous territory, and I want to be sure that I don't communicate blanket safety of slipshine moly in all applications. We know that inoculants are sensitive to how long the bladder has been opened. Did you shake the bladder? Did you expose the seeds to sun, to wind, to what type of active ingredients, fungicides, pesticides? Gosh, if you put copper as a micronutrient on the seed, you're about to obliterate the inoculants. So this is territory that needs careful consideration and testing prior to commercial rollout by any seed company. I would just add to you that we see greater adoption of Slipshine Moly 1600 every year as more and more seed companies are comfortable based on tests that they've done independently and sometimes in combination with Kannar's guidance to go out with confidence and offer moly on the seed with or without an inoculant. Justin, would you quickly speak to, there are so many bugs on the market today. Gram-negative, gram-positive inoculant. A lot of folks hear the word bacillus or see it on a label. Can you just quickly break down the 2 or 3 classes or 4, whatever you're comfortable with, what can generally survive on the seed and what can generally not survive on the seed?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2 of the terms that you'll hear most often is gram-negative and gram-positive. And the big differences between the 2 is the cell wall. This gram-negative has a much smaller cell wall, whereas the gram-positive has a much thicker wall. That thicker cell wall is kind of acting as a protectant. And it also helps when the gram-positives turn into their spore form, which is actually an increased protection. It's kind of a dormant stage, which the gram-negatives, also known as inoculants, they don't have that. So you'll just see a much quicker stability on seed for the gram-negatives, and you'll see a longer shelf life, a longer stability with the gram-positives, especially a gram-positive that has that endospore forming capabilities or that outer coat to protect it from unfavorable environments.
Perfect. So generally, inoculants is a very sensitive category of biologicals.
Absolutely, definitely compared to the gram-positives.
Perfect. All right.
Thanks so much. So in addition to micronutrients, another thing that we actually like to add to the seed is usually going to be microbes. So I am actually going to hand the mic right on back to Justin to talk about one of our microbes.
Perfect segue. Thank you, Heather. So before we talk about our last Slipshine product, I want to talk a little bit about the microbe 43J and what makes the Slipshine product such a great carrier for this microbe. So what the microbe 43J is, or we call it, is a 2-strain gram-positive bacteria. And these gram-positive bacteria are enzyme powerhouses. So what they're going to do is promote a lot of these enzymes in the soil to, as you can see, help root elongation from the auxin. With phytase, we allow for phosphate solubilization, and the siderophore production aids in the chelating of iron. So what happens often is there's a lot of nutrients that are locked up in the soil that aren't available for the plant to uptake. So these microbes actually unlock those nutrients and allow for a much higher uptake from the plant. This higher uptake of nutrient is going to translate into an increased root mass, as well as an increase in yield, which we have a couple slides next that I'll show you. But what makes this Slipshine product such a great carrier is actually in the formulation itself. or rather the stability of the formulation. What you don't want is anything that's going to fluctuate. You don't want anything to decompose in the blend. You want it to stay as stable as possible, as long as possible. What this will prevent is you signaling to the microbes that they should germinate and come out of their shell because they're sensing this new environment. So that's when you're going to see the die-off from your cells. So as long as you have that nice stable, whether it be a dry carrier or we also have a liquid carrier for the micro-433J, as long as you're going to see that stability and that non-change in your pH, your density, that's where you're really going to see the stability from your microbes. So the next couple slides are just going to show some field trials that we've conducted with our micro-43J. The first slide is going to show you on corn. That's going to indicate about a 4 bushel per acre increase with about 70% consistency. These were done at about like 109 different locations across the Midwest. Slide. All right, so this next slide shows you from that field trial, from the corn field trial. These are WinRhizo software scans of the roots. And on the left, you'll see the control. And then on the right, you'll see the difference in the increase in root mass with our micro-43J. So next we have soybeans. Similar trials conducted across the Midwest. And you'll see about 1.2 bushel per acre increase with about 71% consistency. And then again, you'll see on the left the control from our WinRhizo scans of the roots. And then on the right, you'll see the difference, the increased root mass with our micro-43J application. And then I think I'll hand the mic back to Heather so she can talk a little bit more about the full product, the SlipShine Plus 2050.
Thanks so much, Justin. So seed correctly enhanced with our SlipShine Plus 2050 will have that slip, shine, and sheen. You'll get singulation at planting, and you will see yield improvement because of the fact that it contains that micro-43J. This does also have state-to-state registrations, and so there's a link to our website where you can see all the states where our SlipShine Plus is registered, where you can just scan the QR code if you'd like to see the map of all the states where it's registered. The application rate typically on soy is 1.6 dry ounces per 100 pounds of seed, and for corn, it's about 3.2 dry ounces per 100 pounds of seed. And the reason we have those there is so you can make sure that you actually put the amount of microbes on the seed that you're expecting to get on there. That is available as a 25-pound bag in a box, and it is available in pallet quantities. So you'll get 10 boxes per pallet, which is 250 pounds. This is another one of the entries that contains the technology with worldwide patent protection that's globally licensed to Kannar from our friends at Lomutech. The next slide is going to look pretty familiar, I hope. This is our summary of SlipShine key benefits that we had earlier as well. So these are the key benefits that we went over during the presentation. You got your 100 with the shine and sheen, and it moderately contributes to the seed flow and singulation. The SlipShine 6300, which has that shine and sheen, and it also aids in drying for seed applied slurry, as well as strongly contributes to a high degree of slip and seed singulation. Our SlipShine Molly 1600, which had that molybdenum micronutrient added in there, the shine and sheen, as well as aids in drying seed applied slurry and strongly contributes to the high degree of slip and seed singulation. And then our last one we just spoke about was the SlipShine Plus 2050, which has that microbial seed applied soil inoculant, improves conversion of fertilizers into forms usable to plants. It promotes root elongation, phosphate solubilization, and aids in chelating iron. It's got that shine and sheen, and it aids in drying seed applied slurry, strongly contributes to high degree of slip and seed singulation. Now, when using any of the SlipShine technologies or any dry seed finishers, any dry applications, we also want to make sure that we always keep everybody safe. So everyone is subject to OSHA, even if you're just a 2-person company. When you start to be 10 people, technically you do have to report to OSHA, but even before you're 10 people, you still have to follow the rules and regulations. So always maintain a suitable dust collection system when handling any kinds of dry bulk, both prior to and during any application. And always make sure that you use proper PPE. So we have pictured here 2 different forms of masks that are approved by OSHA. We've got the N95, which is the white one that you'll see right here. It forms a nice seal around your face if you happen to not have a beard. Those are the ones that I tend to use. And then we've also got our other ones here, which are suitable if you happen to have a beard. I know a lot of people tend to like it. This is usually the one that Sam will use or Justin will use if they have to use any of those. It's very important to fit test. If you actually have a beard, you try to fit test with one of the white ones. If you have a beard, you actually won't get that seal. That's what's there and to try to protect you from any of the particulates or anything like that. So you won't actually get that seal, but you can fit test with any or either of these or any of the other OSHA approved ones to make sure that you have any of the appropriate PPE that you need. We personally at Kannar actually use an Oneida dust collection system. We're not vendors for them or anything like that. It just happens to be the one that I tend to use in my lab and that we use in our warehouse. But we always make sure that we use dust collection whenever trying to apply any kind of dry bulk. You'll also see here actually CT as changing times applicator machine, which is one of the ones that we have. We have a CT machine at Kannar as well, which is one of the things that we help to put all of our slip shines through to make sure that it's going to actually flow effectively through all of the machines themselves. And if you guys have any questions or want to contact us at all, always feel free to contact us. We also did have that slide at the beginning with our contact information, but we're happy to send it out as well for anyone who needs it. This right here is our address as well as our website and our phone number. If you scan that QR code, it'll actually bring you right to our website, and you can find us on social media. We have a Facebook, a Twitter, and a LinkedIn.
Well, Heather, thank you. Appreciate the great information and the interaction here today. So at this point, we can open up for a few questions and discussions. If anyone wants to jump in here, just take yourself off of mute, and we'll have a little time. And in a little bit, I'll stop the recording and we can have the meeting after the meeting, in a sense.
Well, whether this is recorded or not, I just want to talk a little bit while we wait for any questions. What we hear or ask often is, where do I apply the slip shine in my drum treater? Let's say the first part of the drum treater is where the seed is introduced with that curtain of wet slurry, and you have an initial tumbling that usually within the first quarter to a third of the drum treater uniformly coats the seed with seed-to-seed transfer of the liquid slurry. And then the bottom 2/3 of the drum treater is finishing of the liquid. Now, the slip shine is usually introduced by way of a stinger, or like we saw pictured on the USC treater, the belt or the auger. Slip shine can be introduced there. But if it's in a drum treater, we usually recommend that it be when the seed is neither wet nor dry, but it's tacky. So if you put it in too early, too close to the beginning of the drum, the liquid covers up the slip shine, and it's like putting dollars underneath the chemical, and you don't have the full benefit of the dry additive technology. And then if you put it on too late, when the seed is too dry, you don't have enough of the polymeric glues to hold the slip shine on the seed. And it could then be undesired migrant dust later on when handling. So it's a little bit of a science and an art, and you have to consider your total application rate, sometimes moisture, and the eye quickly trains and knows what to look for in terms of how far that stinger needs to be in the polishing drum. And it depends on the length of the drum, whether you have a 4 feet treater, like some do, or a 12 or 8 feet treater, like others may have, just how much seed you push through, what your total application rate is, but it's usually about halfway, sometimes a little bit closer to the end, where the slip shine is applied with great success. And where you find that sweet spot of where the seed is neither tacky nor dry and allows for the optimal adherence and outermost coating of the slip shine type technologies.
Thank you for that, Sam. Trenton or Jeremy or anyone have any comments here? Just let us know, and be happy to let you know the conversation.
Michael, if I may bring up another point on just when you work with, if you've never worked with a dry, if you never worked with a dry additive in your production plant and you use it for the first time, there are a few things you need to be prepared for. And one is that dust, as the nature may suggest, could tend to be airborne, and a dust collection system is essential. I would not even endeavor to do a small trial with a technology that is a dry additive until you have your dust collection and your PPE in place. And folks quickly learn that you don't use compressed air to just blow the dust away, because then you move migrant dust from one area to another. It's always best to vacuum it up and let the filters capture the particulates. So highly encourage everyone who's curious about this technology and want to see what it would look like on their seed treatment facilities through the equipment to think dust collection first. Do the best thing and avoid migrant dust from going everywhere. The product tends to be slip shine technologies can be flighty. So if we were to design it to minimize flightiness, there would be another quality that we would take away. And we take the view that seed companies should be equipped, and competent seed companies always are, with adequate dust collection in place, so that you get the optimal and the most desired effect from your dry seed applied finishers and technologies.
Sam, those are great comments to kind of round out the conversation today. So the key here is that with Kannar Technologies and the microplastic-free inclusion of our technology, we have an industry-leading products lineup here that is superior to other products in the industry. And we're ready and able and willing to make that product and help people understand how to use it. So with that, appreciate everyone attending today. I'll go ahead and turn off the recording, and then we can have a little conversation here as a post meeting.